There we go. Great to see you guys still hanging in there. Hope you enjoyed the Formula One session. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a workshop together here on stage for the second panel of today. And for those of you guys who are engaged right now, I have a question for the audience. As you know, I like questions and engage you guys a little bit. I just want to do like a hands up here today. How many of you guys have worked for longer in the industry than 2 years? Hands up if you worked longer than 2 years in the industry.
It's almost everyone.
You guys definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, what about 5 years? Oh, still a lot of people. That's great.
Yeah.
And what about 10 years? Oh, well, a lot of experienced people here. Doesn't it feel like the player experience is more limited than what it used to be 10 years ago? And doesn't that feel a little bit counterintuitive? That's what we want to talk about today, which is how do we bring back the fun to the player experience? And I'm very lucky to have two world-class panelists with me here today. Kim Hultman, let's give it a spin from a player perspective, and Lidzén, of course, the CEO and co-founder of Fast Track. So how do we bring back the fun to the player experience? I mentioned that this is a workshop here today, and we have microphones in the audience today. And I want you guys to think about, if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions perhaps, feel free to put up your hand during this session. And we should have microphones that we will be able to pass on to you during this session as we try to answer this question today. But I want to start, Simon, on your side.
Sure.
So what has changed in focus and why is this?
I can give you my perspective on things. So when I'm looking back at kind of around 2012, I think one very impactful thing that I came across, I think I was working at Betsson at the time.
Yeah, we were next to each other, Simon.
Yes, we were.
Yeah,
I think I was at Betsson at the time. I'm just thinking if I already transitioned, was like around that time. And I think in terms of the casino experience in itself, so one entry in the market was Casumo. I think at that time, that was just the grandfather of...
Yeah, Casumo changed everything.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
an entirely new type of gaming experience that no one has really seen before. And what happened following that was that, oh shit, like everyone started realizing that I need to stand out and I need to be quite interesting in the market in order to attract players. So a lot of operators started going down that route. And I mean, we were working with Betsson. You remember, like BetSafe, that was a whole like lifestyle brand sponsoring Gumball. There was like a lot of excitement going on and about the thrills of these things. We had a lot of talks internally, like all the time on Betsson around how we were positioning the different brands within the group. Like I remember all of these things. Like when I look back at it. And well, I think one of the things, like one observation that I've made over the last couple of years is that the industry started off as kind of a lot of us had entrepreneurs that came maybe from Scandinavia or something like that, set up shop in Malta, and they had one central team to service kind of a global market. And this type of setup and constellation of a team, it lended itself well when you had one product and one offering. You could have it translated in different languages and you could have it working like that, but you still had kind of a one focus as a business. You could really touch and clearly say, like, this is who we are and what we do and how we're going to stand out and be different. And during the wave, there was, after 2012 and going forward, there was a lot of introduction of like kind of new concepts of casinos, some of them being niche towards certain audiences that they said like, okay, I want to go after a certain community, like a rock community, I want to go after someone else. Some of them wanted to focus more on the video game element and like go into more the gamification aspects. But it was just like, I started writing down a list for myself and I could list 20 different casinos, like that was just doing that, like, and that was just in a heartbeat. I could mention so many of them. That was trying to innovate in this space. And you do that, you have a central team, you're marketing towards like a global market more or less. Most of them had a focus on UK, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Germany, and Netherlands at the time. I think that was like quite prominent. And then there was this wave of regulation that kind of came past. And I think in the beginning, everyone was like kind of, yeah, this is taking up a lot of resource internally for us to be able to cope with the changes to, for example, live up to the regulatory aspects of the UK. And what they did was like kind of they introduced regulation piece by piece. So there was already kind of its own license back then, but it was like then they kept introducing new layers of that. And it started becoming, you kind of started having to pull back on the fun part of the experience, because many of the restrictions had to do with what type of content could you show to someone that was logged out, because you don't know if that person is over 18. So you couldn't market, for example, a cartoonish figure in the marketing. You couldn't display any games that had that type of, sort of attracted the wrong person. Then you had limits and a lot of things that you imposed on the player, of course. So you had to have a deeper sense of player controls and deposit limits and all of these different things that you started adding piece by piece, so that the UK. And then obviously there was Denmark before that a little bit, but they kind of tightened up the regulation further down the line. And then you had Sweden, and then you had it's so many things that were happening. And suddenly you end up as a company which was wired with kind of, okay, the thrill of fun and excitement is everything that they live for. They come down, like everyone came being players themselves pretty much, and just thinking, oh, this is how we can elevate the experience. And then it's kind of, what happens is they start breaking up the product into different pieces. And now you have like a UK product, you have a Swedish product, you have a, maybe a Norway, Finland, and Germany, and Netherlands product, and suddenly you it's chopped up, and suddenly this model of operating a central team doesn't work anymore, and you've kind of suffocated a lot of creativity in the company. And I think a lot of businesses have actually lost a lot of people in the process of doing that as well, because the identity of the business and why they were there for the first place has changed. And now we have a lot of new amazing people, obviously, in these companies that has translated what they look like. That doesn't mean that it's bad in any way, like in terms of that the new experiences that has come up, they've come better for some, and in other cases not, maybe. But I think we certainly have lost a little bit of fun in the element, and that's something that I think, especially from a player perspective,
Yeah.
hear what you're saying, but
I'll raise my hand so I can talk.
Go in.
Okay. All right. Kim has a comment.
No, but from a player perspective, I feel like the casinos back in the days were a lot more playful. And as a player, it was really good because there were a lot of new casinos, and you could jump around a little bit and claim a lot of rewards. But in the end of the day, you would stay at someone that was really good, like Casumo. You just stay there. And I remember Risk as well. I used to love Risk as well, play there all the time. So from a player perspective, I feel there was a lot more value before, whilst now with all the regulations, it's tightened up a lot. I mean, the reason I moved to Malta is because as a streamer, we always play. Yeah, Patchyville. That's the real reason. But the official reason is that Sweden wouldn't give deposit bonuses, and as a real money casino streamer, you need deposit bonuses to stay afloat. So yeah, I feel it was way more. It was a bit better before, but you get it that when you regulate it too much, or in my opinion too much, it kind of comes to that point where the casinos are just afraid. So like, we don't want to mess up, because a mess up is very expensive.
Yeah.
I don't think this is about that we want to focus the entire session on regulation, but it is a good point, because this is what has had kind of shaped all of these things, right? And I mean, it is, you can't not be surprised by, maybe it's gone a little bit too far when, for example, a land-based casino, as in Sweden, they're closing down the last casino now. Not even a government-owned casino with monopoly in the market would be able to
that's
sort of make that work.
A little bit ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, no, but it's what I think my reflection on that is not necessarily has it gone too far, but I remember my own experience, like as we're talking about experience and fun, is that I've gone a number of times, I've gone up to Gothenburg and I tried to get into the casino, and this is a perfect example where like you looked already when you approached the door, you're like, shit, I need to, I haven't even had a drink, I didn't do nothing, I drove up, and suddenly they kind of just put you there. It's like going through immigration in the US. It's really like, I'm already getting my heartbeat because I don't think I'm going to get through the door. And it's happened multiple times that even being completely sober, I couldn't even get in. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's a little bit too far, potentially, like when it's gone over.
Yeah, I love when the casino in Gothenburg was trying to be a little bit edgy by offering a happy hour for drinks in Sweden. Quickly got closed down because in Sweden there's a law that you can't offer discounts on alcohol.
You can't be happy in Sweden.
No, not possible. So, Simon, reward systems, gamification, does these types of unique brand experiences, do they really work?
100%. Without a question. I've seen it so many times over that any player that is engaging in an experience, there's just a multitude of things, and I think we can talk about that for a while, because the gamification element works. It's just as simple as that. I've seen player values more than double on the players that are sort of engaged in something else than just the games that you're playing on the site that, for example, attach yourself to the brand and so on. I don't know what your experience is, Kim, if you have found yourself playing.
It definitely works. I mean, you as a player want some kind of progress. Then it's been a few brands that has a non-monetary progress, and I'm not a big fan of that. Like,
No, me neither.
you want a progress where in the end it's something monetary there. So if you reach a level up or a different tier, you know you're gonna get something. So
No, I agree to that.
definitely it works. If executed the right way, it works.
Yeah. Is it one of those things that is 1,000 ways to do it wrong and kind of like very few ways to do it right?
Okay, so I've been in a few of those conversations, at least from sitting on the operator side trying to build this. I don't know if everyone knows this, but in the beginning of Fast Track, we used to have a little bit different focus. We pivoted to CRM a couple of years down the line. And in the very beginning, we were part of actually developing these gamified concepts and brand concepts. And we launched about 7 or 8 casinos in the first 2 years, which were heavily gamified. My learnings and takeaways from that process is a couple of things, and I will take 1 minute to explain it.
No worries, no worries.
So a couple of things. Number one, I agree with you 100%. It has to be monetary. Like, I think that the players have arrived at your site for a reason, and that's to feel the thrill of the play. And you need to kind of amplify or add something in addition to that experience that amplifies that. And we're playing for real money, so I think it's important that the rewards in the program is in some way associated to that. You can probably blend that with something that is non-monetary, but for me, I would never run a gamification program or a reward system that wouldn't have that. The second thing that I'm very passionate about is about the integrated experience, that I don't think you get much value out of having gamification unless you have a very, very good way of communicating it and getting it out to your players and engaging them so that you have it when you're playing and you have updates and you can see that kind of live, and that it's an integrated, so you don't have to go to a, like we do in the past, where you put up a promotion page, which was like run by a different company that was sitting outside. That was like kind of how we did it in 2010, right? It needs to be an integrated experience. And then personal, this is a little bit maybe more, I want to see your feelings on this as well.
Yep.
But I like creating a very deep ecosystem. So I don't like when it's a linear system where it's just like kind of level. I like when you create, maybe you have wheels and you have scratch cards and you have level ups and you have a shop, and like in some way that you create an ecosystem so that you can create your own path through that as a player. You can come up with your own way. So maybe you don't have 1 wheel, you have 10 wheels, and the smallest wheel is relevant for the player who plays a little bit less, and the biggest wheel gives you the dream of a really big drop or a really big jackpot or a Ferrari or whatever it is, and then that you can create paths through this. That's something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, the only worry from my side is I'm a gambler at pretty high stakes. I gamble a lot.
Can you just show the chart, by the way?
Yeah, I'd hit that.
I'm fascinated by this, by the way.
It's a
I love
blackjack
that.
reference. Yeah. But no, the only downside with if it's too much, it's a bit overwhelming. You don't really know what you're looking for. But I think the system you're describing, if it's done right, it can be extremely rewarding.
But isn't that exactly what happens, though? You log into any social gaming app right now, and it's just like, what's going on? It's crazy. But then you kind of spend a little bit of time on it, and you keep like, this one. And before you know it, you've actually discovered kind of a unique way through all of this, where you're like kind of quite motivated about going through these different paths. I don't know. I think that needs to be done with finesse.
Yeah, and I really like the idea. So we discussed it yesterday about the wheel where in the top, so like you'd have as many wheels, and in the top it would be like €1 million. I actually did the math for that yesterday after we discussed.
It's so funny.
I mean, it's pretty cheap. I can't believe no one's done it. So free idea to any casino out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very cheap. The lowest wheel with my calculations would cost €1.50, and then obviously wheel 9 would be pretty expensive, and wheel 10 very expensive.
Isn't it interesting, like when we talk about price and actually like how much we're paying out from different rewards and stuff? I mean, the level of taxation in a regulated market, I mean, this is just taken straight from the player. I mean, it is, right?
Lower
Because I
RTP.
mean, we're getting a lot less rewards as players than we used to be, right?
Yeah.
And in many ways, I think that's been the shift in focus is a lot today is about kind of finding that scalability, that extra percentage in margin, or how to tweak everything a little bit, right, in order to get it to bring home a little bit more house edge. And if you would like kind of go down on the taxation, I'm sure that would go straight back to the players' pockets, honestly.
Yeah, and we've seen a shift as well, which me as a player not too happy about, but I understand it. That when I started 10 years ago or so, all slots used to be 96% RTP, and now it's trending downwards. Most probably has 94 still, and then it goes down, and it goes very far down. So,
but how transparent is that for you? Like when you're playing?
No, it's not transparent at all. Like I, as a experienced gambler knows, I go into, if I start a new site, I'll go in, check the RTPs and so on. I mean, but unless you know how to do that, that's not evident to you.
Yeah. But that's also like a really key takeaway, right? But I mean, but in defense of the operators, I would imagine like I can understand, like running a casino is not easy, yeah? No. Like, you know, having dealt with a lot of operators, like there is a lot of complexity, there is a lot of risk involved. And I mean, anyone who's in this room is running casino today has woken up on a Tuesday morning and you had a 200K winner. That's just like, you know, and maybe it's early days in like a casino journey. For a bigger operator, it might have been $1 million. But I mean, the thing is like, it's a huge thing to deal with. Yeah. Like, it goes both ways, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and when the RTP goes down from like a casual player perspective, it's like the difference between 96 and 94 is 2%. Well, it's not, because the house edge goes from 4% to 6%, which is 50% higher. Yeah, that's true. But no, I'm hoping that we might get the change back. I doubt it though, but. No, I like that, but I understand as well with all the regulations and taxes and so on, and unfortunately the players don't care that much, because I have a lot of friends that run casinos, and they just tell me like, Kim, there's no reason for us to run 96% because we get the same activity on 94%.
Yeah, and to your point, Kim, I heard a friend of mine, a European supplier who were trying to establish themselves in the US. And here in Europe, the kind of single zero roulette is what we aspire to when we go to the casino, right? We want to avoid the double zero roulette. But in the US, the double zero American roulette is the standard form of playing roulette. And so when this particular supplier were trying to establish themselves in the US, they were trying to lobby for the fact that they wanted to bring the single zero roulette to the operators. And the operators were complaining about this, and they said, no, our players, they don't want the single zero roulette. They want the double zero roulette.
They want to play double the house edge.
Because that's what they know, that's what they are used to. And so the supplier said, fine, let's put the tables side to side. Yeah. Single zero roulette, double zero roulette for the American players, and let them choose. Okay, and what did they choose?
American.
They chose
freedom roulette.
Right? They gladly chose the double zero roulette, even though it is lower high sets. So to your point,
but
players want to play what they recognize.
Everything is not about maths, right? I mean, Kim, you love maths, but it's like it's also about feeling. You know, like if you have had a really great experience with a double zero roulette. Yeah. Maybe you want to play the double zero roulette. It's like, you know, I don't know, like when...
Maybe double zero is your number.
I mean, I'm an emotional player. Like, so, you know, when and some of the old school slots would be my favorite slots. You know, if I would go into a Gonzo, it would open up a lot of, like, and Jack and the Beanstalks and whatnot, right? I can feel and connect to that slot. I know it doesn't make sense, maybe, for a lot of people, but that's how it feels to me, right?
And I can relate to that. It's like... gamblers tend to be a little bit more impulsive. What has worked, you believe is going to work again. That's why, I mean, we talk a lot about not chasing losses, but you should be very careful of chasing wins as well. Because if you got lucky once, doesn't mean you're going to get lucky again.
It's true.
And the fun part with the roulette part, they actually have a triple zero roulette.
Yeah, that's
They've had it for a while. Yeah. And it's usually the brand logo like an S.
Yeah, it's sneaking itself into the Vegas casinos more and more.
Yeah,
even lower RTP over
I don't like it, but if the players do, I can't do much about it.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking about this loyalty to a brand in general, because this is also connected to the player experience. And Kim, I mean, from your perspective as a player, how can a brand make you loyal to them outside of these bonuses and high RTPs? Is there anything in particular that would keep you at one particular site?
I mean, for me, it's important that everything works. So you've had cases in the back where the integration with the slots was wrong, and you'd get something that looks like you get a bonus round, it's cancelled round, and so for me, it's very important that everything works, and that if you win big, you get the money fast. I used to, like, if someone would call me and congratulate me on a win, those things are kind of nice as a gambler.
How did you react like to a call of being congratulated?
I loved it.
You loved it, yeah?
This is like because they acknowledge you, they make you feel valuable. This was almost 10 years ago, and well, I didn't know where Patchville was then, but I could hear it sounded like he was around Patchville area. But still, he gave me a call, said congratulations. If you need anything, just call me. And it was actually fun because we discussed this on the way here. And I said, like, I asked the team as well, like, what do you guys really enjoy? And Hampus, my co-streamer, he said, I remember one time on Frank and Fred, they sent him a bottle of like Magnum Moët or something. It's like, I love it. Only play there now. So I mean, yeah.
But back in the day at BetSafe, when we worked there, me and Simon, we were in the I was in the VIP department on the poker. So I don't know if there's any people in like VIP department in the audience today who are taking care of players. Not really, but like we did a cheaper version of this, where we had a player who won a tournament, big tournament, and he was 25 years old, the guy. So we assumed that this is a guy who is a big fan of pizza, a Swedish person. So we ordered without telling him, we ordered a pizza, a kebab pizza, and we asked them to write in sauce, congratulations from BetSafe, and just randomly deliver it to him. And he contacted us in support the day after, and just loved it, you know. And so that was a €10 experience that just built loyalty from a player that stayed forever, you know.
But it's a great it's so great examples. Everything. I think we cannot forget that it's a human. I mean, that is interacting with your brand. It's someone. It's a person. It's not like a bot that is sitting there and playing, right? So I mean, in terms of loyalty to a brand, and I mean my views on these things, I feel quite strongly about these things, because even when I know when I purchase myself, I purchase things like, hey, I just bought I'm into racing lately, so I'm a little bit too deep into racing, and now I was like, obviously a little bit, should I bring my helmet and get the signature, like the autographs here, but I was too focused on getting up on stage, I didn't do it. But I bought a racing rig. And I now have a racing rig at home because I need to train, because I signed up to a race in August, which is going to be in the UK. And, you know, I've been with Apple for so long now. It's not that I love Apple, but I just don't like Microsoft. Like, not a piece of me doesn't like Microsoft. So I have this, like, tendency to just, like, sort of anything that I see that is any Android or Windows. That's like, I can't touch it. But now I had to, like, the racing simulator doesn't work on any Apple device or that OS, right? So my only option was to buy a gaming computer that had Windows on it. And I can tell you, that really like took a lot of effort for me to like click the buy button and do it. Yeah. But this is what it's all about. That's what I mean, like the whole loyalty. You have to connect with the person on the other side. I think as companies and as businesses, it's our job in order to define who we are in this market and how we plan to stand out and how we align with the values of the person on the other side. And it might be, like Kim said, in the past, it was much easier, by the way, because not everyone was doing that many innovative things, like having fast payouts. You know, you could have things that was quite tangible, that you could do different as a casino. Now everyone is doing it, right? Because it becomes hygiene after a while. But rooting yourself in some really core values that are, you know, I want my players to have fun and I care about them, whatever it might be, like in terms of these things. This is where you build loyalty. This is where you come up with ideas and have a compass on what type of gamification, what type of reward systems you put in place. And this is where you find that, the bottle of, you know, that's where the ideas come from. You know, whether it's a pizza, kebab pizza, or if it's a bottle, or if it's a phone call.
Yeah, no, it feels like that it's very important that the products built for gamblers are by people that are gamblers or understand gambling very well. Because, I mean, now we talk about what used to be good reward programs, but there has been a few bad ones in the past as well.
Yeah.
I remember,
but that's part of evolution, right? We've made, I mean, I wouldn't be able to recall what we did, but I know we made tons of mistakes. I mean, things that you step onto when you start doing gamification, which is very tricky, is player values, right? Like people play for different amounts, and you want to reward people differently compared to how much they're playing. That is very tricky to get right, for example, or how you bonus people generally. I think a lot of operators are struggling with in some ways.
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember one day I had a little bit of a meltdown. I lost a lot one night on a new casino, and the day after I get an email, so I lost a lot. It's like, congratulations, you have 10 free spins. I was like, these free spins better be big. They weren't, they were 10 cents, it was €1 reward, and I went, obviously, it's like, I don't want to touch them ever again. Yeah. So that you can have bad experiences as well. It's not only.
This is the thing. Like you need to be conscious of like kind of both sides of it, right?
Yeah. No, I know this was automated, probably just. Yeah. But maybe you should have, if the player loses more than a certain amount, maybe don't send them 10 free spins.
Not unlimited. Yeah. So guys, we've talked a lot about the past and the problem here. It seems like overregulation plays a part in this. The focus from the operators has gone from fun to compliance, let's say. Is that something we can agree on? That is the kind of the ultimate
I think there is less focus on fun in terms of the player experience, for sure.
So if we now look forward, so we are workshopping here today, right? So we want to find a solution to this big problem and save the industry together here, okay? So Simon, in an ideal world where there would be no regulatory restrictions, how do you make gamification right?
Yeah, I mean, I come back because I think we touched on it before, but I think those 4 points that I mentioned are, I would add one thing to it, like having a system that is monetary. I would build an integrated system. I would have a deep ecosystem of many different levels. Yep. But there is one thing that I left out that I actually feel very passionate about, which I'm going to add in here now, and that's consistency. I think like the wonders about mystery rewards, I think that's brilliant. I think it's great when you want to sort of go after a piece of player base and you want to say, I'm going to bring that person back to my site one more day this week. That's a great way where you can find a segment of your player base and you can target them and you can say, play one more day this week and you give X. However, when it comes to gamification, I think it needs to be like consistent, transparent, and easy to understand. So I think you need to know what's coming. So if you're releasing, for example, if you have a journey, or if you have content that you're releasing, or if you have new missions that are daily or weekly or monthly, I think it's good to be consistent and release them on a particular day, or like having a form of something that I can come back and look for as a player. So I know, okay, Mondays this happens, Thursdays this happens. Every second week of the month, this happens, so there is something that I can connect to. I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, you even see that on Twitter monthly, it's trending when Stake gives out their monthly, like where is the monthly rewards? That they have daily, weekly, and monthly. So small daily, bit more weekly, and a lot monthly. Yeah. So I think that's a very clever way to do it, because you want the player, even if you win winning or losing, you want to come and look for your reward, because as soon as you're in again, I mean, obviously, everyone wants to give it a little spin then.
What's your dream, like, sort of gamification type of element? What's your favorite one? Is it wheels, or would it be scratch cards? Or would it be like pachinko?
I don't know what is my... I like consistency, that you're going to get consistently rewarded. But I mean, I believe where I want to see it go is back towards where everyone tried new things again.
Yes.
Because that's how I think that's really how any business develops. If people get freedom of doing what they believe in, I think that's how we develop it. What I think is pretty cool now is that a few casinos have launched coins with their casino, and they burn a part of the casino's profit into the coins, hence you're kind of a part owner of the casino if you have the coins.
Yeah. But now, Kim, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that a bit? Because it's
Let's stay on this.
I read an article, I shared it with both of you.
Yeah.
There was, I don't remember the name of the person, but it was an independent thought leader that published an article on LinkedIn not too long ago, and whether it was like very weirdly, it was like kind of because we agreed to do this session, and then it came 2 weeks after this article came out, and it kind of touched on the same topic. Has whether the best of online casino is happening in the crypto space right now. That was like kind of what he wrote about, this guy, and it was actually quite a good article. So if I find it, I'll share it again on my profile. But you're touching on something now, which is like another type of innovation, because the crypto space seems to be much more active in doing a lot of stuff and having this type of focus, right?
Yeah. Can we just address that? Doesn't that feel like it's a bit the elephant in the room in the industry at large right now?
For sure.
There is like almost a generational shift.
It's a different playing field, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where I think you as a regulator, you want to keep players on the regulated brands. So I think they should be maybe a little less messing with the experience and let the casinos go back to innovate, but at the same time protect the players. But I think, I mean, we're all different. And now someone else is telling you, oh, you can't bet more than that. Oh, you have to wait 3 seconds. Like I think it's better that they don't touch too much on that and just offer protection for the players that need it.
I mean, I think I agree with you. I think it's a little bit pushing it too far when you start controlling these type of elements. And the thing is, like, the universe always has a way, right? I mean, if there is enough people that has a desire to have a certain experience, there is like the only thing that is happening right now is that I mean, in most cases, and it was like that in the past as well, before regulation, most of the operators, they're doing a good job and they're taking care of the players and they're paying winnings and they're like taking, and this is not any different, I think, from a crypto perspective. They're also, most of them, living up to their kind of responsibility as an operator and doing it the good way, because they are good people in the end of the day and they care, right? They care about what people think about them and they care about the experience that they deliver. The thing is, like, when people start realizing that, there is something available over here where I can experience something that is a little bit better, and it's also, for me, I can trust that I'm getting paid and I can do it. It becomes a little bit of a problem for a regulated operator, and there's going to be even more problems with channelization, right? Because a lot of the activity is going to move elsewhere. So I think the universe has a way of gravitating and creating these things themselves if things are taken too far.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem as well, that they are maybe a little bit too much rules for the players. Definitely.
And so, if you could change, Simon, one thing about the current gaming industry to make it more player-centric, what would that be?
I mean, I'm all in on, like, I'm trying to be smart now. So I'm thinking about what Kim is saying is that we want to get everyone sort of cooking right now into coming up with new ideas, because I think that was a very exciting time, like when that type of innovation took place, and everyone seemed to really, really enjoy that. If I could just, with a snap of my fingers, maybe change something, I would probably have approached regulation in a different way. And I believe it's very, very important, but I think if the regulator would have been a little bit more agile and gone a little bit slower, rather than like kind of bringing down the hammer straight from the beginning, I think there would have been a much more successful kind of rollout, both for the regulator, for the player, and for the operator, and like doing that. But yeah, that's one of them that I think would have helped that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel that there should have been probably more communication between the regulator, the operators, and also the players, because I feel like the players are the ones they're trying to protect, but I kind of feel like they probably don't gamble themselves, because then they would know what, like, you making gambling boring.
Yeah, but I think that's a learning we can make, is that I think everyone needs to play a bit more.
Yep.
No, but honestly, I think, like, if we reflect as operators right now, it needs to be okay to enjoy our own product that we're selling, right?
It feels like some cultures within certain operators are more like, you shouldn't gamble.
But
I remember in our days, Simon, we were like 5 gamblers, 4 gamblers. There was every day at the office. We understood our players because we were also the players.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we had a really strong community in that sense. Like, we thought it, and I've always enjoyed that form of entertainment in groups and together with other people. I think that's the best way to do it, is like kind of how experiencing sort of either casino games or card games or anything together with other people. That's always been like my favorite way of playing.
Yeah.
But I think people in general and operators and leaders should probably encourage people to like get involved a little bit and learn about the game and like see like it's so much fun about it.
It's fun that you're bringing up the playing together, because we used to do that in school when I studied. In Halmstad, you don't study that much. You gamble mostly. But no, it's fun because that's something that is really trending with Twitch and YouTube and so on as well, that you can buy in together, you can all play together. So that's also an innovation that I really do like, the group pools.
Okay, question to the audience here then, talking about cultures and companies and stuff like that. How many people in the audience here feel like you work in a culture where gambling is part of the culture, where you walk into the office and it's a nice, friendly environment to kind of do some friendly gambling and friendly bets within the organization? Anyone here feel that? Yeah, there are a few.
There's a few questions out there.
That's great, you know, but I think that's to the point a little bit here, that
it is.
we want to foster cultures within our organizations where gambling is part of what we do. That's a part of the culture, that's part of our personalities, and if we want to understand our players, you know, we also have to understand our products ourselves, I think.
But that's so interesting in Sweden, because we used to allow kids to buy scratch tickets and so on, and they laughed and said, it's for dad, right? I said, and you got a scratch ticket. So we kind of fostered people to gamble in a way, and now we're saying, oh no, it's super bad. I mean, more focus on have people gamble healthy.
Right. So to wrap the session up here a little bit today, Simon, what do you take with you from this panel? What's your conclusion here? What have we learned today in this workshop together?
I'm glad to have validated a bit. Like I used this a little bit as a discovery session with Kim, because I wanted to get a little bit his perspective on, you know, are what I'm thinking and like sort of the things that I believe in, are they aligned with what Kim is saying? And I think to a large degree they are. So I mean, it's nice to get a player's perspectives kind of validation on that. And Mark? That's nice, especially around gamification and gamified experiences, that you feel it works, and I've seen that it works from numbers perspective.
Awesome.
Cool.
What about you, Kim?
Yeah, no, I love discussing pretty much every gambling-related topic, but especially when it comes to gamification, it's so interesting. And I believe if all the operators were playing on the same field, we would see a lot more of that coming out, new ideas, new products to really enhance the player experience.
Brilliant, guys. Well, we have two world-class panelists to solve this question for us today. Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you so much, Kim. Let's give it a spin, my friend.
Thank
you. Let's continue on today. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.